seem to be different traditions in different disciplines. Like, for example, in medicine, they say they would list literally everybody who was ever in the lab as a quarter. Like, you know, the first ones, and you're a quarter. Like, it's not unusual to have 30, 40 people on the list of like a 2-page article. In management, you know, we kind of value solo authorship, but usually you would have 2, 3, maybe 4 at most.
Exactly.
So again, that obviously impacts the number of citations the scholar gets.
Yes.
And so again, it's not unusual for medical students to graduate with 20 publications, whereas for our students, you know, if you have 1, that's already very good.
Exactly.
Can we make those direct comparisons across the fields, like natural sciences versus maybe?
It is really hard. One way that we've tried to do this in Publish or Perish is come up with a slightly different metric, which is also a H-index that many people know, but is a H-index that's corrected for the number of co-authors. So if you have a single authored article, then if you only publish single authored articles, your individually corrected H-index is the same as your normal H-index. But if you're in the medical field and all of your articles have between 10 and maybe 1,000 authors, because some articles actually have 1,000 authors, then your individual H-index will be a lot lower than your normal H-index. Looking at the difference between using the Web of Science and a normal H-index on the one hand, and using Google Scholar and the individual H-index on the other hand. And I took a group of nearly 150 professors and associate professors at the University of Melbourne, where I worked at that stage, trying to match things carefully. So having 1 male, 1 female, and 1 associate, 1 full professor in every single field. And we had about 36 different subdisciplines, because the University of Melbourne was a kind of a university where every single subdiscipline was available. And then we compared citation metrics, Web of Science and H-index on the one hand, Google Scholar, individual H-index on the other hand. If we look at Web of Science and the H-index, we found that scholars in the life sciences, so medicine, biology, they would have a H-index which is about 8 times as high, 8 as scholars in arts and humanities. Yes, 8 times. It was 3 times for the social sciences. So arts and humanities, the difference was biggest, but it was still 3 times as high for the social sciences. But that was the Web of Science and the H-index. If you looked at Google Scholar and the individual H-index, the social scientists actually slightly outperformed the life scientists. And in fact, the social scientists, the life scientists, the engineers, and the scientists, so natural sciences, they were pretty similar, with only arts and humanities being a little bit lower. So it really depends on which data source and which metric you use. Of
course. And these are big issues. I mean, these are literally matters of well, not life and death, but the path your life takes.
Yes.
It does determine who gets tenure, who doesn't. It does determine if you stay at the university or if you have to move. We've had a number of cases at my business school where people would apply for tenure and promotion and would be right on the, right on the edge. And so the question is, depending on how you count, you either get tenure or not. And that completely changes your life path. I mean, this is not a, like a 5% bonus to your salary. We are talking about a completely different path. So it's kind of interesting that a little change in the formula or the sources, and you get a very different type of result.
Yeah.